and if I had to pick a couple of other things, I would say, if you want to do well in any subject, like if you want to be good at speaking any kind of language, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, you don't want to be working out from first principles what the vocabulary is. So you want to commit to memory a lot of things.
Yep.
And I think that's probably the next big thing, is work out ways to remember these things. It's so much easier to remember things if they're built off things that you already know.
Sure.
Right? And then by that, it could be just, if you want to remember things, random things like 100 digits of pi, of course, well, you can you could just try and learn those numbers, but if you can build them onto things that you already know and give yourself a lot of hooks, then you'll have a chance of remembering it. Similarly, if you're trying to learn thermodynamics or tensor, calculus, whatever crazy stuff you mathematicians do, then going into it, if you've got a really deep understanding of the starting of the platform, then it'll be a lot easier and to connect to it. So making sure...
I was just trying to imagine whether, we often say that we have Google and we can just kind of find a definition of something in literally seconds. It might even be faster than going and trying to figuring it out from ourselves.
It is.
Why do we still need definitions and things at the tip of our fingers?
Well, I think you've got to ask yourself, if you don't have a definition at the tip of your fingers, what does that mean? Can you know something really well without being able to just recall it?
Probably not.
Well, again, it's a question I don't really know. Yeah. So I would say the things that you know really, really well, like your name and where you live and all those things, and sort of times tables and stuff like that, and the vocabulary of your language, without having to think. So it means you really know it. I think most people make the mistake that they think working stuff out is perhaps more important than memory. Memory, who needs to be able to recall facts? You don't. But facts are the vocabulary of understanding.
Yep.
If you've got these deep, and you really, really know exactly what, so when I say the word differentiation, you know precisely what that means, exactly, immediately conjures up an image.
It does,
and it conjures up an image and all these associations and how to do it. Now, aside from the time that it will take to then look up these things, if you're having to look these things up, does that mean you really know them? I'd say probably no.
Yeah.
And so then you say, well, I'm not suggesting people learn that the Nile is the longest river in the world and stuff like that. I say we have to be discerning about the value associated with certain facts. But I think the definition-based facts, the vocabulary of the subject, it's just important to commit to memory.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, go back to your experience of sort of learning and the ZNotes community and people who are learning right now. I mean, the last thing we want to be doing is teaching them to remember entire stuff by rote. But
that's definitely not something that we should encourage, and I don't think we are. I think what we're really talking about is that when we go into it's even more than the definition questions on a past paper or some sort of exam. It's more about when you're writing an essay and you want to actually respond to those key terms which are being addressed. If you don't have an understanding, not even in an exam condition, I was thinking about like going to a doctor and asking him, I'm feeling, this or that, and then he goes in and he picks up his MD dictionary and he starts just looking through. I wouldn't feel very confident with him.
Yeah.
And if you've done it long enough, it kind of sticks to your mind, and those concepts are kind of connected to questions immediately. So it seems like it's not as if memorization is the path to understanding, but it seems that if you understand something well, you tend to be able to recall it immediately anyway.
Well, I'm going to spin you forward, 50, 60 years time now, and imagine, say, actually for you, about 100 years. And you imagine what it would be like if you didn't have memories and you couldn't remember anything. Mm-hmm. And like one of the issues with end of life sort of situations at the moment is that a lot of people have dementia.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the most frustrating things to be around, people who have dementia, right? And why is it? Because they don't have the memory, so they can't. So I'm thinking, well, memory is like really fundamental to your personality, to your sense of self, to all your relationships with other people. I mean, why do we do stuff? We do stuff because we enjoy it at the time, or we enjoy remembering having done it, right? So I think memory, and again, the same brother, Evidence-Based Wisdom, Charlie Cassidy, you check him out. He and I argue about this same thing. He thinks that memory is less important. He thinks that we shouldn't commit things to memory, and we should always be, playing with the understanding. And I'm saying that kind of a little bit misses the point. Now, you can arrive at the facts without having rote memorized them.
Mm-hmm.
You can arrive at the facts through exploring and thinking, working them out. But once you've arrived at the facts, I think you owe it to yourself to have them instantly available.
Yeah.